Good morning, everyone. Let's see, is the mic working? It appears to be. Let me bump that up a little bit. I'm just going to be quiet. It's early in the morning here. This is West Coast. I'm your host, Kevinly Father. We're just going to, some mornings I wake up and I feel pretty good. I'm not full of angst. I don't worry that there's going to be a nuclear war. I'm not worried that my taxes are suddenly going to explode. I'm not worried I'm going to catch the coronavirus from some idiot. And then I realize, hey, I haven't watched me some Fucks and Friends yet this morning. I don't know why I should be enraged about America. So in those cases, what I like to do is sit down and watch a little Fucks and Friends with you, my friends, and figure out why we should be angry with America. So that's what we're doing. Just a few minutes of this. This is nothing official. We'll just jump around here, and we'll see what happens. So get yourself some COVFEFE and prepare to spill. Wow, when I bring in this yellow mug, the entire coloring of everything changes. I get a much lighter complexion. Suddenly, I look gray. I've caught some sort of coffee disease at that point. So we'll just broadcast for a little while. I like to watch the very beginning of Fox and Friends because that's when the most outrage takes place. There's nothing better than outrage. So we'll start our day. We'll get our energy going. Some people like to get up and exercise and go for a 6-mile run. Me, I just like to get the blood flowing by figuring out why I should be upset with Biden. What are the Democrats doing to attack my children? And that's what Fucks and Friends is so good at letting me know. Because otherwise, if I didn't watch this, I'd be perfectly happy. And the last thing you want to do is let your defenses down and be happy with America. It's not how this works, kids. Let's just see what we're enraged about today.
Your hard work. Yeah. You took yesterday off to enjoy the 4th
absolutely.
With your family.
After the condition I was in at the end of the 4th, it was a good idea.
Sunday.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, what'd y'all do?
Took yesterday off to enjoy the 4th with your family.
We stayed at home.
It's the 6th, by the way, for those of you out of the country who don't use the calendar. In America, yesterday was the 5th of July.
But it was, between the pool and we bought a big inflatable water slide.
Oh, fun.
And I may or may not have been screaming freedom at the top of it about 11 p.m.
Oh, no, it was supposed to be for the kids.
I know, but I can't
Nothing says freedom like a water slide.
resist it.
I follow you on Instagram.
By the way, number one killer on the planet, still, lack of potable water. The lack of clean water. But here in America, we slide our asses down water slides with clean water.
And I saw
Into pools full of potable water. And then, when we're done with that, we walk inside and we piss and shit into drinkable water. Number one killer on the planet.
some of the T-shirts y'all were wearing and the crowd you were with. Y'all look like you were having fun.
What is it? Drinking like Lincoln? Teddy Roosevelt? Did you really?
Yes, he did.
Do you guys think that they matched the tie and the dress together? Do they have wardrobe consultants beforehand that put this all together? I don't think so. I think this is just coincidence, but it's well done.
For the little kids?
No, for me.
Oh, for you. Okay.
For the adult kids.
All right,
And all
okay.
the other kids.
Hi, Cooch. Hi,
I was
Joanna.
a role model to the
Hi,
kids.
Deidre. Hi,
Yes.
Liberty.
That's right. How was yours?
We had a great time. We were in Rhode Island, and some of my friends live in this little community, and we were staying at a hotel close by. We went over to their community, and all the kids dressed
All right,
up.
I'm not outraged about any of that. Let's
Actually
skip
glad
this.
she did this. She forgot the word.
Okay.
You
30
have
of
the
our
party.
friends.
Wait, that might be
So
something.
nervous. So the whole crowd chimed in, kind of like the Islanders games.
Very
Nice.
It was fun. How about you? What'd you do?
What happened? Hold on.
Saying, America
They sang America the Beautiful or something.
the Beautiful, God Bless America, the national anthem, and the lady who was singing, bless her heart, she was so cute. I'm actually glad she did this. She forgot the words at one point 'cause she was so nervous. So the whole crowd chimed in, kind of like the Islanders games.
Very
Nice.
It was fun.
Or anywhere.
How about you? What'd you do?
I was.
That is cool. Actually, when people get so nervous they forget the words of songs and then everyone starts singing, that's a little bit of humanity. And I really enjoy that when that happens.
Waiting for a Pete to call.
Unless it's Trump and he just kind of stands there and mumbles.
Invitation.
For the airports we watched were so gallantly blowing.
Our whole weekend revolved around Caitlin's graduation.
Oh,
So
Oh, did you
130
have
of
the party?
our friends.
Good for you.
So we're able to,
Well, full
to get through
disclosure,
it.
on Thursday, Chip Bedell was out here on our
And Skip.
I mean, Skip, not
Yeah.
Chip. Skip Bedell was out here, and he had a big tent. And Brian said, "Can I take your tent home for my daughter's party?" Did it work?
Oh,
Did
yeah.
the tent help a little
but
bit?
only for 20 people. I had another 110 that needed protection. But it was a lot. It was a lot of fun. Everyone had a good time. And
Morning,
now
Andy.
it's back to this. Not everybody was celebrating the holidays. There was a lot of crime and destruction. I
violence.
mean, look at the violence in these major cities. And it's amazing. So many people think there is not a crime and lack
Crime
of
issue?
punishment in our country.
There is not a crime in our country? No, there is a crime in our country.
Gun violence on the 4th of July weekend was over 200 people dead, over 400.
So usually Steve Ducey is there, and he's sort of the voice of reason on Fox. But during the holidays, they get like Pete Hegseth and Brian Kilmeade, Ainsley. The Ainsley's there all the time, and Brian's there all the time. They're the regulars. But without Steve there, there's absolutely nobody to counteract or contradict any of the nonsense that comes out of Fox and Friends.
170 have been shot.
Been shot, huh? Were they shot with knives or rolling pins?
From city to city, from Portland to Los Angeles to Atlanta to Philadelphia and New York City. It is crazy what's happening.
It is. Let me read you some of these stats. New York City, 26 shot.
Right, but Trump put an end to the carnage right here and right now. He said that. That was 5.5 years ago. So it was 4.5 years ago. But that was ended. So I guess Biden gave everyone guns again, so it started again. This violence didn't exist during Trump, is what I'm thinking.
2 died. Atlanta, a large fight ended with 1 dead. A 14-year-old was dead. Fort Worth, 8 wounded when shots were fired at a car wash. Philadelphia, 2 young men killed at a cookout. A 16-year-old girl was shot. Houston, Texas, a police officer was shot responding to an argument over a parked car. Ohio.
He was shot. This same thing happens in all countries. Like in Canada, for example, they have Canada Day, which is July the 1st. And everybody gets shot in Canada, I'm guessing. That happens there, right, Canadian friends? I'm sure you guys had, so if there were 800 shootings here, there had to be 80 shootings in Canada over the weekend because, guns. That's the way it works. It's got nothing to do with the guns. It's people. It's barbecues, really, that are responsible for the violence.
Teen dead at a block party, 11 injured, 300 started fighting in the street.
Jesus Christ, he's got like an AK there. He's got something. Look at this kid
Fired
here.
at a car wash. Philadelphia, 2 young.
Stop. They get out. This guy's got guns. And I don't know what's going on over on the other side of the street, but here's some more people's. And he just gets
killed
out.
at a cookout. A 16-year-old girl was shot.
Watch
Houston,
these guys. These
Texas,
guys scatter because they
a
see
police
these guys
officer
have guns.
Was shot responding to an
and they
argument
just
over a
start.
parked car.
They just start
Ohio,
firing at people. This
teen
guy here
dead
has
at
a
block party,
long
11
rifle.
Injured, 300 started
He's got
fighting
that
in
looks
the
like
street.
some
In
sort of
Chicago,
AK.
2 cops shot, breaking up a crowd, setting off fireworks when shots were fired. Dallas, 3 killed and 2 injured.
Yeah, what a contrast when I think about what we all shared as family gatherings.
This is Brooklyn.
Peaceful, wonderful,
I just cut back to these 3 for some reason. I wanted to see the other angle of that. But yeah, and this will freak out more and more people as. And I was thinking about this weekend. Now we're seeing these shots of violence, constant people, crazy people just hitting people, people with guns. It's because there's so much CCTV. There's so much video out there between cell phones, closed circuit, security cams, etc. We see all these and we're freaked out. Oh my God! Remember when we were younger, it was all about kids being kidnapped. We just don't hear about that at all anymore because now you've got actual video of people being shot. I'm sure kids still disappear, but remember in those days, that was when kids could not go anywhere anymore. Now I never see kids on the street. I drive down the street and I see a sign that says slow, children at play. And I'm like, prove it. Show me the children at play. There's no kids anywhere. They're all inside.
patriotic moments. If you're living in a place where you're besieged by crime, it feels a lot different.
If your kid's going to be kidnapped, vast majority, first off, they're not going to be kidnapped. Secondly, vast majority of the time, it's going to be kidnapped by someone you know, not some stranger just approaching. That was everything. I grew up in an era, I was talking about this on July 4th. Not that that makes any difference to the story. I can just talk about it now and not say that, and then there's no reference point, and it's fine. It doesn't matter whatsoever. I grew up, when I was young, somebody said something about razor blades in Halloween candy, and so for several Halloweens in a row, we had to take all our candy before we could eat it and get it x-rayed at a dental office. The dentist in Whitehorse, Yukon would x-ray people's candy for free because somebody somewhere said that there was a razor blade in a Reese's peanut butter cup or something. And I still don't know. David, are you in here? David with Snopes? Was that ever a thing? Did anybody actually ever put a razor blade into candy?
Different in that context, over 200 or nearly 200.
But are you exaggerating?
Liberty, I grew up all over the planet. So I grew up in Canada, I grew up in the United States, I grew up in Africa. So some places in Africa, they didn't even have Halloween.
Exaggerating?
What?
Are you exaggerating crime in America? There's a lot of people who think you're
It appears to be
exaggerating.
so, because there was a tweet from an official in the district attorney's office in San Francisco who said, all this crime, all this violence, you're just exaggerating. Because someone else tweeted saying, hey, I fear for my kids, I fear for my wife. And this official from San Francisco responded about the crime this way on Twitter, saying hundreds are scared for their wives.
Husbands.
Husbands are scared for their wives. You're reminded that the crime surge crowd shares the same ideology as The Birth of a Nation, which is a film that came out 100 years ago that many deem to be racist, and certainly is.
Well, yes.
In today's
So it's the film about the KKK. It's what spurred on the KKK.
context. So suddenly now the crime
So yes, many deemed it to be racist because those many people were entirely correct. That's what the movie was.
is a racist thing, and that's the problem.
No, that's not what she said. But yes, you use fear in order to propel people to think a certain way. That's what she's saying in the tweet, and that's correct. Because really, if there were 400 people shot across the nation, that's 0.000000001% of the population. You're probably not going to get shot. You can go about living your life. But if 600,000 Americans die of COVID, don't wear a mask because that's living in fear.
Is there anything race is not involved in, as used as an excuse or some type of blame?
So this woman, you can only read it now on her Twitter account if you're following her, but she has locked her Twitter account because she's gotten so much criticism and so much backlash over saying
Which is heartening.
Okay.
Some people have a head about them. Kieran Lawler,
What?
a veteran, now a New York Assemblyman, weighed in.
What's starting to happen is the proponents of some of these so-called criminal justice reforms that have led to this crime wave.
So Fox loves to talk about somebody, and the first thing they'll say is a veteran. He served our country. So his opinion is more valid because he served our country. And if, in terms of military technology, etc., then yeah, absolutely. I'm like, that's an expert in the field, right? But if you're the general who's the chairman of Joint Chiefs of Staff, then when you say that we should learn about wokeness, etc., that's terrible. If you've done so many tours of duty, there's no more space left on your sleeve. This guy doesn't know, but this guy, though, he's a veteran, so let's listen to what he says.
I don't think they're rethinking the policies. I don't think they're really concerned about the victims.
Oh, they're absolutely rethinking policies. Okay, I'm sorry, veteran guy, but you're completely wrong. The people that are complaining about the crime, the gun crime, have been trying to change the policies in this country for decades.
Who tend to be poor and minorities. What they're thinking about is a political backlash. And we warned our colleagues who were pushing for these things. You're going to cause a crime wave. You're going to have a long list of victims, many of whom are going to be minorities. And the victims aren't going to be the politicians who put these laws into place. The victims are going to be regular, ordinary New Yorkers and ordinary Americans.
Who vote. And hopefully they're going to vote in 2022 and they're not buying the garbage that Republicans are defunding the police. I mean, you got to be kidding me.
Well, none of the Republicans, not a single Republican in the federal government voted to fund the police. First off, defunding, not even a word. It doesn't exist. Now it exists. But before last year, defunding was not even in the dictionary because that's not a word. Now it exists. But yeah, when you try and fund somebody, and by the way, the Democrats passed it. Billions, $360 billion of aid towards the states, the municipalities, the people that actually pay the police officers, that not a single Republican voted for that. So when you fail to fund the police, is that defunding?
Never seen it.
I mean, and yes, because in all the cases where funding was shifted away from the police departments in New York, etc., Portland, etc., those cases were money that they were supposed to get that they didn't get, and it was put somewhere else, or whatever the case may be. That's defunding. It wasn't. No one has actually. Oh, here's the police budget. No, we're taking this money back, which is what defunding would actually mean if it was a word. Anyway, across the nation, whether the police have been defunded or not in the cities, Republican, Democrat, it doesn't matter. Crime is up all over the place, and it all started during COVID. And these situations escalate. Of course, that's how criming works. But it must be Biden. Remember, Biden has never been for the defunding of police.
That is, I've never. I just hope people are smarter than that. I have faith in the American public that your jujitsu here will not be effective.
Tucker Carlson addresses this in his latest issue of Tucker Carlson Originals, which you'll find on Fox Nation, which is free to any military for the next year. But he talks about how these leaders and politicians are now protecting the criminals. And he says this is how nations collapse. He said American citizens are now forced to defend themselves. And that's why we're seeing the rise in people buying.
Oh, so more guns.
Weapons now and guns. Here's a little clip. Listen to this.
6 months ago, it was Antifa's going to take over the suburbs. I've yet to have a single soup can thrown at any of my houses in the suburb. I've lived in 2 different houses since then, and neither house has been attacked with soup cans by Antifa. But remember, if Biden wins the suburbs, they're going to be gone. They're still on that, by the way, that Biden wants to get rid of the suburbs.
In other parts of the city, they aggressively disarmed law-abiding citizens. It may have been the most aggressive gun confiscation scheme in modern American history.
Please open the door. When the people were most vulnerable, they took the guns away from them when they needed them the most.
Rather than stop looters from ransacking New Orleans, police decided to confiscate firearms from people who had broken no laws and presented no threat with no due.
We got to jump by that.
This is
that might end up being a copyright strike. We got just a couple minutes of COVFEFE left here, kids. Then I'm going to go play some NetSync. So, tennis for you Americans.
Called Surviving Disorder. I watched it this morning before we came on the air. It uses examples like the Rodney King riots in '92 in L.A., like what we just saw there from Katrina in New Orleans. At the end of the day, if there is lawlessness, if law enforcement either can't be there, aren't there, or they're standing down because it makes no sense for them to intervene because their political leadership won't back them, the only opportunity you have is, as a free individual, a law-abiding citizen, to own a gun and defend yourself, defend your family, defend your business. It provides great example.
And what if the bad guys didn't have guns to begin with?
What's interesting, too, is Joe Biden had to acknowledge 2 weeks ago that there's a crime problem in America, and there's a way of attacking it is what? Let's crack down on guns and gun dealers. Really?
Yeah. So 95%, I should learn the exact statistic. I've forgotten it now. I've been listening to so many stats lately. But an incredible number. Like basically all of the guns used in crime come out of 3 gun dealerships, or they're stolen. By the way, if you ever want to have your guns stolen, go ahead and post one of those signs outside your house saying, the owner has a gun. We don't call 911 in this house. Post one of those signs. Those houses are the ones that are broken in because the bad guys want your guns. Do not tell people that you have guns. I may or may not have a concealed weapons permit from Washington State. I may or may not. But I'm not going to tell anyone that I do. It's a great way to get broken into.
Is that the problem? Is that why carjacking?
By the way, if you want people not to break into your house, put up a sign outside that says beware of dog. Most effective and free way, well, the cost of the sign, to keep people from breaking in. Nobody wants to deal with a dog. Nobody. I actually do. I'd be like, beware of dog. I'm like, I want to go in and give them some treats. Let's play.
Is up, car theft is up 700% in San Francisco because they have a gun? No, they're stealing your car without you in it.
They had the same policies a year ago.
Right.
What changed?
Our country is so divided right now, and you're either on this side or you're on that side. And it's leading to violence, it's leading to riots, it's leading to unrest. We're seeing that over the 4th of July weekend. Let's turn now to extreme weather. A hurricane watch is issued for...
All right, well, that's the end of that. This is not, it's not outrage news anymore, although we could be outraged at the hurricanes. So if you're in Florida, stay safe. If you're anybody else, we will talk later. And hopefully you'll have power. Florida, I hope you're doing okay. Is anybody in here from Florida? I don't know. So you guys have a great day, please. I'm not telling you to. I'm hoping that you do. And I will have a great day. I get COVID tested today, so that's going to be exciting to see if I've caught the Delta variant or not. For work, it's not, I don't currently have any symptoms. But I did go to a 4th of July gathering, and after the gathering, I found out that a family there, they're not vaccinated. They're just not. Okay. Like, do not, I understand family, etc., but let other people know, hey, Delta variant only... the Pfizer vaccine, which is what I have, fully vaccinated, only 64% effective against the Delta variant, which is why my friend, who's fully vaccinated, had dinner outside with friends who weren't vaccinated and ended up catching the Delta variants. Everybody got there. Also, checked out my Twitter timeline because at Kevinly Father on Twitter, who was it? Someone, I can find it right here. I do have to go, but I want to alert you guys to this if you didn't see it. Go to my Twitter timeline and you will see, John Pavlovitz. Pavlovitz. Probably says it Pavlovitz. I don't even know how to say his name. John Pavlovitz, 3 people in his family are vaccinated. The other one is too young to get vaccinated, 11-year-old. They went on vacation. They all got it. 3 of them have fully vaccinated Pfizer bodies. All of them got the Delta variant. Delta does not care. So, will you get it? Odds are no, but the odds are only 2 to 3. So, don't mess around with that. So anyway, be safe, be careful, wear your mask. Don't be around people. Don't go to a movie. Don't go indoor restaurant. Just hold on. And remember, the Delta variant and all the other variants we have out there, including the Epsilon variant from California, these are just the rehearsal viruses. Be safe. Be good to each other. Be good to yourself. And most importantly, be good to me.